I've never been one for birthdays. Growing up, they were more of a calendar reminder than a celebration, just another day when the house hummed with someone else's priorities. But turning 30 felt different. Not because I expected cake or gifts, but because I needed to know if anyone remembered. Even once. So I planned something small, a quiet corner at a local bar in South Austin. Nothing fancy, just a string of warm yellow lights. I brought myself a red velvet cake I ordered from a bakery I liked, and a few childhood photos I printed on glossy paper and taped to the brick wall behind the booth. I thought if they saw the photo of me at age 4 holding my baby sister Courtney, or the one from the summer road trip where Mom Eileen had written our brave girl on the back, maybe they'd remember. I sent invites to each of them, Eileen my mother, Dennis my stepfather of 22 years, Courtney my half-sister 5 years younger, always the favorite in every room, and Zach my half-brother the baby, everyone still called little man, even in his 20s. I worded the message gently. Not a demand, just a, would love to see you if you're free. I arrived early, sat at the table nearest the bar where the light was soft and low. The bartender, a man maybe in his 40s with kind eyes, asked if I was waiting for someone. I smiled and said yes, though I wasn't sure. By 7:15 p.m., no calls, no texts. I glanced at the door every time it swung open, trained to smile just in case. But the faces never matched. At 8:00, the cake still sat untouched, the thank you cards beside it still sealed. I took a sip of water, then another. The bartender came by and slid me a small glass of plum wine on the house. Maybe they're running late, he said gently. I nodded. But at 9:00, I knew. I cut a single slice of cake, posted a photo to social media with a vague caption, something about how sweet nights taste better with cake. I smiled for the picture. Then I ate in silence slowly, not because I was hungry, but because I didn't want the cake to look forgotten. By 10:00, I gathered everything quietly, tipped the bartender well, walked out to the sound of my heels tapping on concrete. I drove home in silence, no music, just the buzz of street lamps and my own thoughts. At home, I slipped off my shoes and stood barefoot in the kitchen, not moving, not thinking, just breathing. I wasn't sad because they didn't come. I was sad because some part of me still believed they might. A week passed. I didn't bring up the birthday. Not in the group chat, not in private messages. I waited stupidly for a belated call, maybe even a late card in the mail with Eileen's handwriting on the envelope's sharp looping cursive that always smelled faintly of lavender hand cream. Instead, I got a group text. It was from Eileen. The same thread where we used to coordinate Christmas potlucks and 4th of July barbecues. Hey family, Dennis's 60th is coming up. We're planning a weekend at Pacific Shores Resort full package, beachside private dining. $1, $500 per person. Please Venmo me by Friday so I can lock in the bookings. Love you all. No mention of my birthday. No. Sorry, we missed it, not even a, how are you? Just an invoice dressed in emojis and affection. Courtney replied within minutes. Just sent it. Can't wait, it's going to be amazing. Zach followed done. Let me know if you want me to pick up a bottle for Dad. I reread the thread, my thumb resting against the screen like it might shake loose an explanation. Nothing. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was cold, still. The kind of quiet that doesn't need to yell. I opened my payment app and typed in Eileen's handle. I sent $1. The note field blinked, waiting. I typed, happy birthday. Nothing more. Then I closed the app, locked the door, and turned off the lights in my apartment as if I were leaving for a long trip. I wasn't. I was just done. I changed the passwords on every joint account I'd once shared with them, the emergency fund I set up for Eileen's prescriptions, the shared card I had for Courtney's tuition overflow, the bank profile Zach used when he maxed out his student loans. I hadn't touched those accounts in months, but they had. I knew they had. Then I scrolled through my contact list. One by one, Eileen, Dennis, Courtney, Zach. Block, 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 block. No explanations. No dramatic goodbye text. Just silence. Later that night, I sat on the edge of my bed and opened a half-written message draft I'd started months ago. I don't know what I did to become invisible to you, but it hurts. I deleted it. I didn't need them to understand anymore. I didn't even need them to remember me. I just needed to remember myself apart from them. And for the first time in years, I slept without checking my phone once. It started with a notification. Suspicious login attempt detected on your account. I stared at it, the screen washing my apartment in pale blue light. My hands didn't shake, but my chest tightened like an invisible rope was pulling inward. I opened the banking app. They'd tried to access the joint account, the one I hadn't touched in months, the one I'd once used to cover Zach's tuition bills, Courtney's wedding florist, Dennis's truck repairs, and the bathroom remodel Eileen said would help his back. I called the bank, no hesitation. Freeze the account, I said. Transfer all remaining funds to my personal checking, and change every verification method tied to my name. The voice on the line didn't ask questions. They never do when the tone is that calm. That evening, the calls started, unknown numbers. I didn't answer. Then came the messages, short and sharp, full of anger wrapped in concern. Why'd you change the locks? What the hell are you doing? Why are you shutting us out? This is family. Pick up the phone. I turned it off. By Friday night, I thought maybe the noise would die down. But I'd underestimated Eileen. Silence to her wasn't defeat. It was a challenge. And she never walked away from a challenge. The knock came just after 9. Fast, loud, relentless. I checked the peephole, then the security camera feed. 2 police officers, one tall solid, the other younger, clipboard in hand. I opened the door, but not wide. Gloria Whitman, the older one, asked. I nodded. We received a report that you're unreachable and may be at risk. Your family filed a missing person report, said you've been acting unstable. Possibly a danger to yourself? I blinked. Unstable. I let them in just far enough to see my living room. Clean, quiet. The soft hum of a diffuser still misting lavender into the air. My work laptop was open on the table, Zoom call log still active. I've been working all week, I said. You can call my manager. 10 people on my team can confirm I've been in meetings all day. I'm not missing. I'm not unstable. I'm just done. The younger officer scanned the room, then met my eyes. Family said they were worried, he said, his tone measured. I smiled, dry, not cruel. They weren't worried. They were losing control. The older officer tucked his notebook away. We don't get involved in family matters. But if the contact continues and you feel harassed, you can file a restraining order. I nodded once. When they left, I didn't sit down right away. I just stood in the doorway, hand on the knob. My apartment was still warm, still mine. I never imagined the day my own family would weaponize concern like that. Not to find me, but to pull me back. Saturday came quietly. I was in the kitchen waiting for the kettle to boil when the pounding began. It wasn't a knock. It was fists, unapologetic, angry. I walked slowly to the door and checked the camera. Eileen, Dennis, Courtney, Zach, all 4 of them on my front step like some twisted portrait of unity. Eileen's mouth was a tight white line. Dennis stood with his arms crossed rigid. Courtney tapped furiously on her phone, likely recording. Zach looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, but he was still there. I didn't open the door right away. I turned on the speaker. What are you doing here? Eileen's voice cracked like a whip. Open the door, Gloria. Now. We need to talk. That's enough, I said evenly. Talk about what? How you tried to access my account, or how I was left out of Dennis's birthday plans but still got an invoice. Dennis stepped forward, his voice deep rehearsed. You're acting like a child. We're worried. And this is how you respond. I let out a short, dry laugh. Worried. You called the police and reported me missing. That's your version of concern. Courtney hit the door harder. Who do you think you are, ignoring our calls, freezing accounts, blocking your own mother? You're being dramatic again. I opened the door. I didn't let them in. I stood in the framed shoulder against the wood body, still gaze steady. What do you want? I asked. I didn't soften the edge in my voice. Eileen met my eyes I'd inherited. Hers were rimmed red, but not from sadness. From rage. We're family, and you're treating me like some stranger. Maybe I said calmly, you never really knew me at all. Dennis's tone sharpened. You're being ungrateful. We raised you. We fed you. We gave you everything. I stepped forward, voice low. I started working when I was 16. I paid for my own car, my own tuition. I graduated with no loans because I took on 2 jobs. I gave Courtney her wedding, Zach his diploma, and you your second mortgage. What exactly did you give me besides obligation and silence? Eileen exploded. What about the nights I stayed up worrying about you? The credit cards I maxed every Christmas to make it feel like a home. And now you throw it all away over a birthday. Not over a birthday, I said sharper now. Over a decade of endurance. Every time I had a little extra, you had a new emergency. Every time I said I was tired, you said, "We're all tired." Every time I asked for space, you called it abandonment. Courtney sneered. You always play the martyr. You've got money now, and you act like we're parasites. I nodded slowly. Not the only one who struggled, but the only one who got exploited, and still called it love. Dennis tried one last time tone, lowering like a peace offering. We just want things to go back to normal. Families fight. This is just a misunderstanding. I shook my head. It's not a misunderstanding. It's a pattern. A one-sided economy of love. And I'm bankrupt. Eileen stepped forward. Fine. Walk away. But don't come crawling back when you're alone and out of options. I didn't flinch. If I have to choose between being alone or being used, I choose alone. She opened her mouth again, but Dennis pulled her back. Courtney gave me a look like I'd just set fire to our entire childhood. Maybe I had. I shut the door, quietly, fully, for good. 2 days after I closed the door in their faces, I got an email. Not from them, from the bank. Co-borrower consent required for mortgage refinancing on property located at 11 and 75 Shoreline Drive. I stared at the screen, then reread it. 1175 Shoreline. Their house. The one Eileen and Dennis had begged me to co-sign for 6 years ago when another loan had fallen through. I still remembered the late-night call, Eileen sobbing Dennis in the background, mumbling something about being too old to start over. Back then, I had told myself, you're in a good place. You can help. It's family. But now, they were trying to refinance it again without even asking. I didn't feel shocked, just hollowed out. I called my attorney, Elaine Foster, the same woman who helped me navigate a financial mess when I briefly worked in real estate. They're trying to refinance without my consent, I told her. I want it blocked. Her voice was calm but clipped. Send me the original agreement title deed and any emails. I'll freeze all transactional rights tied to your name immediately. I didn't stop there. I opened a new draft in my inbox and typed subject request for personal financial audit family support expenses past 7 years. I sent it to my accountant with a list I'd kept in the Notes app on my phone. Quiet entries over the years jotted down more out of survival than resentment. Shoreline down payment, $78,000. Dennis's Ford truck loan, $21,000. Courtney's destination wedding, $36,000. Zach's college tuition, 4 years, $44,000. Eileen's medical bills, 2020, 2022, $51,000. Miscellaneous loans never returned, $18,500. Total, $248,500. I asked for itemized proof receipts, bank transfers, anything that could speak louder than memory. 3 days later, the audit was complete. It came in a clean spreadsheet with color-coded tabs and PDFs attached for each item. I opened it slowly, like peeling the dressing off a wound I wasn't ready to see. I stared at the number again. Not because I wanted it back, but because I needed to see it for what it was not, generosity. Not love. Just the cost of being in a family where only one person ever paid. I reopened the family group chat, long dormant now, and dropped the file. No greeting. No context. Just 5 words, I want it all back. The thread exploded within the hour. Eileen, have you lost your mind? Who does this to their own family? Courtney, are you serious? You're counting every penny, like we're strangers. Zach, I'm working double shifts to survive, and now you want blood money? Dennis, finally. You're tearing this family apart. Your mother hasn't slept in days. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I emailed Elaine again. If they can't buy out my share of the house I wrote, I want to withdraw. Force a sale. 10 minutes later, she called. Are you sure? Yes. They might turn on you completely. They already did. Elaine's office sent the formal notice on a Monday morning. To Eileen Whitman and Dennis Harper, re-withdrawal of capital interest in jointly owned property at 1175 Shoreline Drive. It was short, direct. If they couldn't buy out my share, we'd proceed with a forced sale. Their reaction came faster than I expected. First, a message from Courtney. You're really going to put Mom back in that rundown apartment from before. You're not just cold, Gloria. You're cruel. I didn't reply. They called me selfish. Me, the daughter who'd sent money monthly without being asked, who'd paid for everything from Zach's textbooks to Dennis's dental implants. Now, because I wanted my name off a house I never lived in, I was the villain. That night, the only message that gave me pause came from Eileen. Gloria, if you go through with this, we lose everything. The house will be sold. I have nowhere to go. Are you really this heartless? I set the phone down gently. I wasn't heartless. I was clear. For the first time in years, I knew if I didn't follow this through, I'd fall right back into the old role provider, peacekeeper, sacrificial limb. Then came the silence. A week without a word from any of them. Not even Courtney, who never let a moment of drama pass unposted. But the quiet didn't feel like surrender. It felt like strategy. Elaine sent me an update the following Monday. They'd agreed to sell. It's being listed as a fast sale property, she said. But don't get too comfortable, they're already delaying payout of your share. I answered with 2 words. Stay close. 3 days later, I got a call from Aunt Virginia, Eileen's older sister, the only relative who still spoke to me with a tone of measured care. Your mother called, she said slowly. She's crying every night. Says you're throwing the whole family out on the street. I didn't defend myself. I wasn't angry with Virginia. But I was tired. People believe the version of the story they want, I told her. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for a refund. The house went on the market 2 weeks later, a 3-bedroom with a deck out back where we once grilled burgers on the 4th of July. I saw the listing photos. I felt nothing. Then the cars went first Dennis's Explorer, then Eileen's sedan. Sold through Facebook Marketplace masked as downsizing. Then the jewelry. The sapphire earrings I'd given Eileen when I got promoted, the ones she wore every Christmas. A broker sent photos to Elaine as proof of payment attempts. I barely recognized them anymore. The payments trickled in. First $10,000. A week later, $5,000 more. I didn't acknowledge receipt. Elaine sent a formal letter, pay the balance or face full legal proceedings. The next morning, the final $7,200 arrived. Total $22,200. Exactly what I'd asked for. Not a dollar more. I stared at the bank notification. Just text on a screen. But somehow it felt like 10 years of giving had been collapsed into a single line item. Transfer received, no apology, no explanation, no family. Just money finally moving in the right direction. It was a Friday night 4 months later when a coworker asked if I wanted to join them for bowling after work. I almost said no. Loud places never felt like home. But something in me, curious or maybe just restless, said yes. We took the lane near the end. Neon lights flickered overhead, casting everything in soft greens and blues. Laughter echoed off the polished floor. I rolled a few frames, nothing impressive but decent enough to avoid attention. Then, as I turned to grab another ball, I saw him. 2 lanes over, struggling to lift a dark green ball. Shoulders thinner, hair grayer, gait slower. Dennis. He didn't see me at first, but when he bent to pick up a spare, his eyes swept the room and stopped. We both froze. Instinct told me to leave, to vanish into the noise. But I stayed. He walked toward me slowly. His bowling shoes squeaked on the waxed floor. When he got close enough, he didn't speak right away. Just looked at me like he was waiting for permission to exist. Gloria, he said finally. Soft. As if one wrong breath might break whatever this was. I didn't reply. I didn't expect to see you here, he said, gesturing toward the empty lane beside me. Mind if I roll a few? I didn't nod, but I waved to the attendant to reset the lane. We bowled in silence for a few minutes. His first throw went straight into the gutter. He gave a short, defeated laugh. Guess I lost the last thing I was ever better at than you. I said nothing. He sat back down beside me, not too close. His voice dropped. I used to think I was strong. That being the man of the house meant something. But the truth is, when you started earning more, started growing beyond what I could offer, I felt small. I didn't know how to handle that. I looked at him not with anger, just observation. I used the title stepfather like a shield, he continued, to make you feel like you owed me something. But the truth is, you didn't. You never did. I rested my elbows on my knees, eyes steady. You didn't just take money, Dennis. You took trust. You dragged them all into a cycle of need no one was willing to call what it was. He nodded slowly. No apologies ever going to fix it. I just want you to know. I regret it. Deeply. And I'm sorry I never told you I was proud of you. That landed heavier than I expected. But I didn't soften. I'm not coming back, I said. I'm not looking to fix anything. I just want to live without being expected to give. He reached out a hand. It trembled slightly. I took it. His was cold. Mine wasn't warm. But for the first time, it felt equal. I stood, straightened my jacket. I'm heading out. Enjoy your game. He nodded, didn't ask me to stay. The night air wrapped around me as I stepped outside the alley. It smelled faintly of pavement and cold with a hint of magnolia from somewhere I couldn't place. I opened the car door and sat for a moment, not rushing. Just breathing. No missed calls. No guilt-laced messages. No one asking for rent money or rescue. Just silence. At home, I made tea and sat by the window legs curled under me. I didn't think about birthdays or bank transfers or the word daughter as they had used it. I just listened to the stillness of a life no longer borrowed, no longer bartered. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel punished. I felt mine. The next morning, I booked a trip. Not to disappear, just to begin again. Not as a wallet, not as a fallback plan, just as Gloria.